MJF may be walking out of AEW Double or Nothing, and it's a huge freaking deal. So earlier on, like literally like less than an hour ago, I released a video talking about MJF no showing AEW Double or Nothing's Fan Fest. Now we have news. This is via Sean Ross app from Fightful that MJF has a flight booked to leave MJF is leaving Las Vegas potentially. He has a flight that is booked to leave Las Vegas tonight, which would be well under 24 hours before he is scheduled to face Wardlow in a match, a big time match. That being that, which is going to be Wardlow's, or you one a lot people thought it was going to be Wardlow's coming out party, his big moment of triumph, and now we're at the point where we don't know whether or not that match is going to happen. Now, it really needs to be said here. Really needs to be said that MJF, whether or not MJF is actually going to be on that flight, we don't know. The report from Fightful even states that like we don't know if MJF is going to be on that plane. What we do know is that there is a flight that is booked out of Las Vegas tonight, and there's two ways this could go, right? And I really hope that it's the first way that I'm about to say. The first way that this could go could be that MJF is making a huge statement to AEW management. And he is making it brazenly. He is being bold. He does not want to pull his punches with this type of gesture. He wants it to be abundantly clear. He's unhappy. He wants a new contract. He wants to be treated as a superstar in all elite wrestling. That is the worst case. That is the best case scenario for AEW. And the worst case scenario, which to be honest with you, I hope it's not true and I hope this doesn't happen. And I honestly don't think it will because I don't think that MJF would do that to a fellow competitor, a fellow wrestler in the locker room, especially someone who he has helped like kayfabe and in reality he has helped build up into a star in Wardlow. I don't think that MJF will no show tomorrow night, but I cannot say with 100% certainty that he won't, which is scary when you think about AEW, this pay per view, when you think about his position on the card, his position as one of the top acts in all elite wrestling. This is a huge freaking deal because this goes beyond MJF just announcing that he's unhappy. To book a flight, to book a flight to not return calls, as I reported earlier, or as I talked about earlier in the video, to not return calls and then no show a prior event at the AEW Fan Fest and not show up at the Fan Fest for the fans who were there when you were scheduled. That's sending a message. This is sending that message loud and clear. And if AEW management does not hear MJF's message that he feels underappreciated, that he feels underpaid, and he feels overworked or overexposed, and he feels like he's outgrown what he originally signed for, then I don't know what will. I genuinely hope that this does not end with MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, not showing up at the pay per view. I cannot say with 100% certainty that he will or he won't. It is hard for me to reconcile him not showing up because if he does that, I don't think it bodes well for him and his reputation in the locker room, no matter where he goes. Genuinely, no matter where he goes. And this is not me casting, you know, a bad or trying to put MJF in a bad light. This is just me analyzing one way or another, right? I don't believe MJF is that type of person in reality. Like we can talk about how he's he's a heel and he's a heel and he's the best heel in the game, and he obviously puts up an act and doesn't really budge from that act, which is fine. That's a good thing. But in actuality, like when it comes down to something this serious, because you're not, because it's not just about throwing the company under the bus, right? The company, honestly, who gives a shit about the company? What it really is about is your fellow talent, your fellow competitors, your friends. I don't know what the personal relationship with Wardlow and MJF is. I assume that they are close as two coworkers can be, considering how close they've had to be over the past 2 years. It would be it's very difficult for me to see MJF in a time where Wardlow is at his zenith, on the precipice of being cemented as a star. It is so difficult for me to see MJF walking out just before that. It, I don't think it'll happen, but this flight out of Vegas, like, it is concerning. It's 100% concerning, and AEW management should take it seriously. Somehow they got to get away. They got to find a way to get him on the phone. They got to find a way to reach him and tell him and give him the bank. It's time. Like if we're being honest, if there is anyone in AEW who signed originally as a rookie that has earned their keep and earned their paycheck and earned their contract, it is MJF. It's time to pay him. It's time to stop, messing around. I understand that he does have 2 years or actually a year and a half, 18 months left on his contract. Never too early to re up, never too early to restructure, never too early to re sign. I think that it would behoove AEW to re sign him, considering how angry he is at management, even if he's willing to re sign at this point. But if they cannot allow him not to show up. Again, I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think MJF is that kind of guy, but they cannot allow a situation where the most anticipated matchup for the entire pay-per-view is under jeopardy, and they cannot allow a situation where the hottest superstar right now in AEW, like the fastest rising hottest superstar outside of maybe Jade Cargill, is Wardlow, and you could argue that they're at the same level. This is not good. At the look, whether or not MJF shows up again, I think he will. This is so bad for AEW. This is bad news bears. I can't understate that how bad this makes AEW as a company look, and how bad this really makes Tony Khan look at the end of the day, because a lot of MJF's disagreements, it seems, goes back to Tony Khan. And I know MJF specifically has a lot of, or reportedly has some heat backstage with people who think that he's being disrespectful to Tony Khan, which is possible because, look, I'm not in the backstage area. I don't know MJF. I don't know Tony Khan. One thing I do know, however, is that when you work in a place where you feel underappreciated and you are not getting compensated to the level where you deserve, MJF is definitely not getting compensated to the level he deserves. I can tell you that. There becomes a situation where you resent the other party as a talent. You resent the other party. You resent what they make you do. You resent every action. It's that CM Punk line. Remember CM Punk when he did that Colt Cabana interview talking about WWE, where he got to a point where whenever he would come back from the curtain after a great match, they'd be like, "Oh, you had such a great match," and CM Punk would be like, "Fuck you, pay me." Literally, what he would say. That's the level of resentment that can happen when you are that underappreciated. And MJF, look, he's underpaid. We 100% can all agree on that. He's underpaid, but the fact that he has booked a flight, whether or not this is a gesture, the fact that he's booked a flight out of Las Vegas tonight, 24 less than 24 hours before a pay-per-view, shows that he is serious about not only leaving the company at the end of the day, but also not really giving a shit what management thinks about him. And when you have that rift between such a talented player, such a talented athlete, such a talented superstar, MJF is a superstar. When you have that rift, it is hard to mend these things. Like, it really gets hard to mend these things in negotiations, especially since negotiations have not been going well. This is like, we're just getting this news. I did a video like very shortly ago, like maybe less than an hour ago, right? Talking about how MJF did not come to AEW Fan Fest where he was scheduled to perform at or appear at. And he's not returning phone calls. He's not returning any text messages or communications with AEW management. And that's that's where it becomes like kind of dangerous territory where you don't know what the talent is going to do. You genuinely don't know what the talent is going to do. I have an idea that MJF, even though he is unhappy, won't no show tomorrow. I just think it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make business sense as well. Like I talked about the relationship between Wardlow and MJF, but I don't think it makes business sense for MJF at all. Because then it is going to be, I think there's going to be a lack of trust amongst other talent. If he can throw Wardlow under the bus like that, and again, I'm not saying he's doing that. I am not saying that, he is on a flight. We just know what we know. And I'm analyzing beyond that a little bit of the different scenarios that could take place. But he gets, hypothetically, gets on that flight, no shows tomorrow. In the future, whether he's in AEW, whether he's in WWE, whether he's in MLW, wherever he goes, right? It is going to be very difficult for talent, no matter who they may be, no matter how much he's getting paid, to trust him. Like, that reputation as an untrustworthy coworker is damning. And I'm not saying that that is what MJF is. So please don't put words in my mouth. I'm explaining that's a problem that could occur if he doesn't, right? But the message is clear. The message is clear as day. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, put your comments in the chat as well. The message is clear as far as MJF goes. And it's basically what CM Punk said on that Colt Cabana podcast a few years ago. The message to Tony Khan and AEW management from MJF is, fuck you, pay me. Like, it is, I really do think it is as simple as that. I really do think it's as simple as that. The fact that contract negotiations have not been going well doesn't bode well for AEW at all in the bidding war of 2024 either. Like, this is just astonishing news. Genuinely astonishing breaking news in the world of pro wrestling. Like, I cannot understate it any more than I have. I understand that people are going to say that, well, it's just a report. MJF, maybe he just booked a flight to kind of lash out at AEW or what have you. But oh man, oh man, oh man, it's this could be bad. This could be really bad. Guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, in the chat, wherever. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll keep you updated to the latest as it breaks. YouTube.com/Real Take Sports Talk or Real Take Wrestling. MJF. Wow, oh, wow.